Hi everyone, Goddess of Radical Self-Love. How's my Patreon family? So today we're doing the coloring cleanse for chapter 10. It is New Year's Day today, 2019. It's kind of exciting. This whole new world opening up for us. Ready? Lift off. All right. So we have our Mr. or Mrs. MECA cleansing chakra girl. And I really should have probably figured out the colors first, but I'm sure you all don't mind waiting on me. Sorry. Pink, pink, pink. Don't know why we have so many of those all of a sudden. Yeah, this chapter anyway has, I guess, more good stuff than hard stuff. I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter no matter what it is. We are just taking the lessons anyway, right? Can't hold on to anything, good or bad, so all the lessons. Why can't I find orange? There we go. So, let's go through it. Chapter 10, My Dark, Lonely World. I know it sounds sad, because I guess it was sad at the time, but I guess once you are able to realize what your dark, lonely world looks like, maybe you can open up space for what your light and unlonely world looks like, I guess. You know, duality. You know one, and you learn the other. Eventually, it will come. Everything changes. So, oh yeah, we're listening to my, what is it? Spotify Mammy list, in case you want to look at that. Or listen to that at the same time. Just some nice, calm, jazzy, whatnot music. Yes. That's how I feel right now. Calm and jazzy. I still can't find the red I want. Ta-da. Ta-da, ta-da. So, from the start, I felt so at home with BH, my new foster parent. She was a best friend and the mother I never had, all rolled into one. I mean, she really cared about me. She was entirely concerned with all the abuses and traumas I had suffered and was now committed to the healing process. She spent hours, days, and weeks listening to the stories of my life. Right away, she took me to a therapist. I hated going, but I would do anything for her. I wanted to make her as happy as she made me. From the moment I moved in, I wanted her to adopt me. Yeah, I was pretty excited to have somebody in my life who genuinely cared, and, you know, that parental figure I was excited. BH's family was nothing like mine. We spent Sundays at her parents'. They were the sweetest people I had ever met. Her mother, I soon called Grandma, would make us huge feasts all from scratch. Her father, my grandpa, would sneak me candy bars before we ate, a big no-no, and take me ice fishing on the weekends. BH's sister would come over honking the horn on her little red Honda, and her dog, a lookalike of Toto, would run and jump right into my arms. Every moment I spent with them, I felt so loved, so special. It was a real family. I just wished my sisters could be part of it all. I didn't try to fool myself, though. I knew that that would never happen. Yeah, so at this point, I think it had been probably a couple months since I had seen them or talked to them. So I knew my wishes were only wishes at that point. And yeah, um, for my birthday, BH, her sister and I went canoeing down the St. Croix River. I got beaten by the sun and was fried from head to toe on our 4-hour tour, just in time for the big birthday and welcome home party with friends. I guess I kind of wanted to touch on her parents as well, BH's parents. They were, or her entire family was welcoming, extremely welcoming. They did feel like my family right away. And, well, you'll see later on in the story, I guess, what happened with it all, but I was pretty excited to have them around and to be welcomed, to be loved, and to be nurtured, to be accepted and not ridiculed. Like, they all seemed like they were on my team, you know, and I think that's what like families are really. They're like teams and teammates, and you know, at times you might have disagreements, but they're your team and you have their back and they have yours. So that's what I wanted anyway. KR lived on a lake and we spent the entire time on the boat tubing, even with the sun blasting my skin even harder. It was all just what I needed after all that I had been through the last 6 months. Even the burn felt like it would allow my skin to shed all the toxins I had taken in. There were about 10 to 15 girls that spent the night out around the bonfire. I spent time telling them how much I missed them and how much they all meant to me. And actually, to be honest, there were boys there too. And I had, well, if you watch the last coloring cleanse, I think it was the last one, I had talked about the letter that was sent to MW's house from people from St. Croix that said that they were happy that I was gone, and you know, they didn't like me and they didn't want me there, and you know, whatever. But so I had brought the letter with, and because I don't think, yeah, I'm pretty sure that they didn't maybe sign their names on the letter. And then I had matched some of the, well, the girl who wrote it, her handwriting was on my card. So I knew who wrote it, and I already knew who wrote it, though. It, you know, like a jealousy kind of thing that you have maybe with your sisters kind of deal. That's how it was there, I guess, in some ways. I don't know. I had a lot of issues with girls, but it didn't really make a lot of sense. So I think because I was in the family that I was, and I was easy to pick on. That's as much as I think, I guess. So while I was at the birthday party, my birthday party, and KR's birthday party, yeah, it was kind of like the truth came out, but what are you going to do? In the morning, BH came to pick me up. When I got into the car, the back seat was filled with packed suitcases. She surprised me with a trip to Mackinac Island, Michigan for my birthday gift. It was so much fun. We went to cute antique stores, ate their famous fudge, got t-shirts, and watched the fireworks on a yacht. The trip was so surreal, all of this was. How could this be my life? Why did my sisters still have to stay with the crazies and I got all of this? Why was I there with BH and they weren't with me? All I could do was hope for the best, that my parents had somehow changed, that me leaving scared them straight. Scared them enough to believe if they didn't behave and treat the girls right, they too would be taken away. Release, I guess. But the trip was amazing. I really want to go back to Mackinac Island, and it's so cool there because there's no vehicles and everything is just so clean, and it's kind of like an olden day scene in a lot of ways. So you have like horse and carriages, and yeah, it's awesome. I really want to go back. With my kids would be fun. We're just a love. My love. That would be nice. All summer we spent playing softball, going golfing, and sharing smiles. When school started, everyone could see the difference. Sun rays were coming out of my ass, of course they could. Yeah, I was pretty happy and excited to be with my new foster parent. Which, if you've had kids, or if you haven't had kids, you really should think about being a foster parent because there's so many kids out there that need good homes, as I keep on saying. But yeah, they deserve good homes. Everyone seemed to be genuinely happy for me. And there were some unexpected changes in me as well. My grades continued to be good. I normally would have cheated off my friends or just not cared prior to the Amory experience, but now they were asking me for the answers. I truly, for the first time in my life, felt a sense of pride. Other than sports, something that came so easily just couldn't be counted. That's just what I thought. And to be honest, as I got older, it was like I didn't have that pressure anymore of the parents and or of the father, and they didn't matter as much to me anymore. Sports didn't as much because my heart just wasn't, it wasn't as much fun anymore. And well, we'll talk about one of the coaches another time. I'm sure it's in here, but there was one coach who was also one of the gym teachers, and she did not like me at all. And she was also the coach for volleyball as well, which made things difficult because, well, she made things difficult because she, I don't know, had an issue with my family. But when adults treat children like crap because of their family, it's pretty sad and says a lot about their character, not about mine or any child's. It's the adult that needs some, I'm sure it's about transference. I must have reminded her of somebody or something, but still, grow up and be a decent person. But I guess I can't really say that to everybody out there because it's like, I don't know, everybody has like their own issues. It's just why they would take them out on children. They're kind of like sacred. They're part of our most vulnerable population. They're sacred. Just like individuals who are disabled, although we're all disabled in one way or another, you just can't see it. So we're all sacred. Yeah, we are. Just treat each other nice. With decency and respect, you know? You don't have to go too far out of your way. You know, you don't have to go and make it an entire company that focuses on helping people. All right. I absolutely love the feeling of being intelligent. Not only the feeling, but actually learning in and of itself. So I felt like I had it all, except for, of course, my sisters. I had a loving family, my friends, the grades I had always wanted, band, choir. Sorry, I'm making an edit. Band, choir, volleyball, gymnastics, and I had 2 jobs. High school was definitely for me. I was in heaven until that winter. I had still been staying in contact with WP and JP since living with them. I had stayed at their place a handful of weekends. BH was okay with me going over there, but at times seemed a bit jealous. Yep. She dropped me off at the front door. I walked in as though I had never left. WP told me she was leaving to go to a reunion at her college alma mater for the weekend in Colorado. I would just be having a weekend to me and JP, which of course would have to be the best time ever because he made everything so fun. She gave me hints of what we could look out for while Christmas shopping for her. Yeah, WP, she's like just this ball of beautiful white light, like just beaming from her face, and she's just so full of strength, and a gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous person. Not, I mean, aesthetically, yeah, but I mean, her heart is in it, you know, and obviously she took care of me, and yeah, she's just like that with everyone, really, though. I mean, she's a pretty incredible person. After she left, JP explained he had already gotten her gifts, but we needed to go get some wrapping paper. He had actually forgotten to pay for his gas when we went back inside to grab snacks, so we had to go all the way back into town. This was not looking like such a fun night. When we got back, we sat on the couch and watched a Garth Brooks concert on TV. He had actually become my favorite because of JP's affinity for him. We said goodnight after some time and went to retire to our own rooms. He was the closest thing I had ever had to a father, a real father who loved me and protected me and made me feel safe whenever he was near. It was comforting to know that a man could be like that I didn't have to do anything to prove myself. I was just loved. And everything was so just lighthearted. No stress, no strain. It was just ease. When morning came, we jumped onto a snowmobile and left for the day. We had an early dinner at Trap Rock, a little dive bar restaurant. We were sitting at the bar. He had a few beers, and I was sipping on a Diet Pepsi. The can somehow got switched with the guys next to me. As I swallowed, my face became green. I looked up, looked at the can, put my hand over my mouth, and dashed for the bathroom. I vomited everywhere. The man next to me at the bar had been using a Diet Pepsi can as a spittoon for his chew. I still gag thinking about it. Our adventure for the day ended quite dramatically. We hopped on the snowmobile in the dark. A chill went down my spine. The taste of vomit still filled my mouth, better than the chew mixed with some random old man's saliva. With my arms wrapped tightly around JP, we made it home in an hour. it's amazing because I just need to say this. Since I just read this on Sunday because I had, with Christmas and everything, completely forgot that I hadn't read. And normally I do it on Fridays. But either way, this Garth Brooks thing, it's hilarious because today when I was at Starbucks this morning, I met this man whose birthday was today, and he turned 77. He was born in 1942, and you know, the seven's the divine number, but so he turned 77 today and was born in 1942. I turned 42 this year and was born in 1977, and somehow, I was telling him what a great year it's going to be because of his divine number and union with God and blah, blah, blah. And he was like, oh, every year is an awesome year. And I'm like, oh, I just love that, you know. But then he said it was because of his mom. Because she was such a good parent to him, such a loving mother. And I was like, oh, I'm going to cry right here in Starbucks. But then he asked me if I had heard this Garth Brooks song, which obviously I had just gotten done writing about. And I had never heard it before, which is odd. But I guess he has new music out or something, or who knows how long it's been out, but I haven't heard it. And I still want to find it. But I just thought it was interesting that it lined up again with the book. And a lot of things keep on doing that, and it's really freaking me out. But I know it's all synchronicity, so I get it. But then he tells me he's from Madison, which is actually where the Conscious Queen, or my daughter, went to school as well. And that he used to teach at Duke University. He was a professor there, and now he teaches at, or he was teaching at Madison. I think he still is. Maybe he's not. I don't know. He wants to move to Florida, but he's such a sweet guy. And his wife is still working. That's why he's not moved yet. But his friend at Duke is a rheumatologist who focuses and studies arthritis in children. So it just all was like boom, boom, boom. Synchronicity after synchronicity. It was so strange. I'm like, this is amazing. So... and I've had a lot of things like that lately, I guess. A lot of synchronicity coming in. A lot of reminders of duality. Like reminders of maybe like my past up until today. The differences and changes that I've been able to make. And how I've been able to actually have much better discernment now. And it's kind of like the universe is going, yes, keep going. Keep going. You're doing a great job, like with all your cleansing and all these things that you're working on. And I got your back. We got your back. The universe has your back. It's pretty special. So, although, well, I'll talk to you about it soon. So, I'll tell you. So, when we got back, I immediately headed towards the shower and brushed my teeth about 1,000 times. I hopped into my jammies and went to the couch. JP laid down opposite of me. He covered us with a couple of blankets. I was so exhausted from the day, my body felt like jello. As I lay there in a trance staring at the TV, I felt JP's hand caress my feet. I had a nauseous feeling overtake my body. I quickly reassured myself that I was safe. Everything was fine. It was only my past making me feel uncomfortable. I was wrong. JP took my feet and pushed them close, too close. I was frozen. I couldn't move. I couldn't speak. My mind was racing. No, no, not you, not my hero. Do not do this to me. Please don't. I stayed there paralyzed, feeling him push his manhood onto my sweet little toes. His hand rubbing higher. and higher, up my ankle onto my knee, up the inside of my thigh. With each stroke, he was breathing harder and I not breathing at all. I stared into space at the TV, feeling as though, sorry, my grandfather had arisen. He kept each stroke of his hand synchronistically reaching higher, each thrust of his groin harder. This could not be happening. He was the only man in my life I had ever trusted. How could he want what was between my legs more than what he shared between our hearts? How could he want what was between my legs when he was with the most beautiful woman I had ever seen? But higher and higher he went, pushing my panties into me with his fingers. Only a few hours prior were holding my hand. He stopped and stood up. Again, I just want to remind you all that I am reading this as though it was not me, but I mean, it isn't me. It was one of me experiencing this. And just 1 second. I'm sorry, I have to grab a Kleenex. I should just always have these on my desk, obviously. Whew. Like, I don't understand why. Why? Especially when he knew everything, you know? I guess I can't think like an abuser, obviously. But at the time, honestly, I really did think like every time it happened, like somehow it was my fault. Like I wanted it, or I don't know. I know I did it. I thought, oh my God, thank you. Thank you. He stopped himself because he didn't want to hurt me. Then he bent over, kissed me on the forehead, picked me up in his gigantic arms, and carried me like a groom does with his wife on his wedding day into his and WP's bed. As he climbed on top of me, he pulled down his underwear, then mine. Pulling my legs apart, he pushed and pushed. Finally, I made my voice work. Stop, you're hurting me. Please stop, it hurts. But he didn't. He just kept pushing until he finally broke through. As I lay there silent, tears rolling down the sides of my face, into my hair, and finally onto the top of WP's pillow. When he was done, all he said was to go to my room. Sorry, it's so weird with my nose ring. I don't know how to blow my nose. The next morning, neither of us spoke a word as he drove me home to BH's. That was the last time I had ever stayed at the P's. I never told BH or WP, not even my therapist. A part of me felt if I told, they would think I wanted it to happen, which even the other times people had said, you know, I don't know why anybody would ever say that about a child. They have no idea. And it would, even if the child did, it would be the adult's responsibility to say no and see why they would even want, like, why they would even be curious. Because obviously, if they were even curious, it would mean they were probably had already gone through this stuff and or put into these situations, again, not understanding what it was in the first place. So yeah, don't doubt a child when they tell you about an experience of sexual abuse, please. And don't think that they wanted it. They have no idea what that is, what that even represents. But more than this was the fact that I didn't want to ruin WP's happiness. She loved JP and I didn't want to disrupt the life she loved. One of my biggest regrets in many ways because it always weighed heavily on my heart. But, I mean, even though my town was in a lot of ways what saved me, I felt like, because I learned from other families kind of like what felt good or what looked right for families, what a family represented. I wasn't always included in all that, you know, and it's very easy when you have a family of a higher stature in town that if you had somebody, let's say a foster child, making allegations towards them when they're very well known and respected, it's not going to work out so well for the child, that's for sure. And I had just found a little piece of happiness, you know, with my new foster parent. I didn't want to jeopardize my happiness any further either, so it was very confusing. I felt very guilty, but I know I didn't have to. Somehow I felt I had possibly caused her more pain by not divulging the truth of who he really was, and she basically wasted her life in a complete lie. And still, it's not my obligation to tell anybody, to be honest, as a child. It was his. And it was maybe hers as well, not to leave me alone with him. Like, just saying, like, maybe that wouldn't have been a choice I would have made. I probably would have had a child of that age instead of staying with my husband, wait until I got home. At the time, my thinking was off. How could it not be? I knew if I told BH or my therapist, they would make me tell WP and she would get hurt. So I said nothing. I avoided their calls, and if I ran into them around town, I acted like nothing had happened. Even giving JP a hug. If I didn't pretend nothing had changed, WP would for sure ask me what was wrong, and I just didn't want to bring her into my world, my dark, lonely world. And like I said, you know, like the rest of my life wasn't always dark and lonely, but it was still very surface, you know, my real world, my at night world, my alone time world was pretty much filled with thoughts of unworthiness, guilt, shame, confusion, self-loathing. Yeah. Confusion more than anything. I didn't know who to trust. I didn't have anyone to trust, really. No one. And it seeped into my adult life. That's for sure. until, I mean, like I said just a little bit ago, how proud I am that I'm like finally able to have discernment. I mean, like to be able to know. I mean, I have like a very amazing intuition. It's just I didn't always listen closely. And an experience that I just had recently, my intuition was screaming at me and I was like pushing down the doubt and the fear. That's what I thought I was doing. But I didn't feel comfortable. Something was off. And I knew something was off and I couldn't put my finger on it. I didn't understand why I felt so scared in this relationship. And it was all my intuition telling me, you know, this isn't the right thing. This isn't the right person. He doesn't even deserve you. He needs to work on his own cleansing. So for Miss MECA, or your Mr. MECA or Miss MECA, whichever you chose, I am finishing mine off in the green chakra healing. For my heart chakra, to release all guilt and shame connected to this year of chapter 10. And to know that I, or Lonnie, has been and will always be loved, divinely loved and cherished for the complete perfection of who she is, who she has always been, before this body, during this body, and after this body. Nothing, no one, not any experience can or will ever change the fact of our each individual divine nature of perfection and unity as a whole. We are love. That's what we are. Light and love, energy. And whether or not other people can always or do always treat you or each other with that reality, it's not really that important as long as you know and understand who you are and the fact that you're never alone. You're always part of the collective and perfect. Child of God, right? God is within each and every one of us. We are God. That's how we're functioning. We're magic, divine, spiritual beings. It's all a magic show, you know? Like every single moment should just be a celebration for the fact of being able to witness all of this, even being in this body or whatever body you're in. It's a gift. It's your gift. So, all right, my lovies, my beautiful people, my beautiful things. Yes. So it is chapter 10, and today's date is 1/1/19. I'm just going to put this in the book. Well, I hope you all had a wonderful release of your 2018 energies and have welcomed in the new energy of 2019, knowing that it will be filled with joy and happiness and magical moments, peace and prosperity and abundance. I love you all so much. I thank you so much for going on this journey with me. Till next time.